Welcome to The Joint. I'm your host Tristan, and today I'll be explaining to you what the six synovial joints are. Hold on. What even is a synovial joint? A synovial joint is the main type of joint among 300 joints within the human skeleton. Synovial joints are found in the areas which enable movement between two or more bones, such as the elbows or ankles. It encloses the ends of articulating bones and is jointed by ligaments. All synovial joints consist of articulating cartilage, which reduces frictions at the ends of the bones. The hyaline articulating cartilage, which also reduces friction and supports the joints from weight-bearing functions. There is a synovial membrane, which lines the joint capsule. The joint capsule consists of strong fibers, forming a baggy appearance, which protects the structures inside. The synovial cavity is filled with synovial fluids, which reduce friction, maintaining mobility and health. Synovial joints also have nerves, which communicate with the cerebral, blood vessels, which remove waste and deliver nutrients and oxygen, ligaments, which reinforce the joint capsule and prevent bones from dislocating, tendons, which attach bone to muscle, and the bursae, which are found at the friction point amongst ligaments, tendons, and bones. Now, since we're informed, let's get into the 6 variations throughout the skeletal system. The most common synovial joint would be the arthrodial joint, or gliding joint. This joint's name originates from where two slightly curved bones surfaces meet, enabling them to glide against each other in two planes. The location of this joint on the skeleton would be the wrists and the ankles. There are also special arthrodial joints in the spine called Zygapophyseal Joints, which are located between the inferior articulating process of one vertebrae and the superior of another below it. This joint allows small angular movements of the bones. This is the Zygapophyseal joint, which is found in the vertebrae of the spine. This is the gliding joint, which is found in the wrist of the hand. And this is the gliding joint, which is found in the ankle of the foot. Another common synovial joint would be the Ginglymus joint, or Hinge joint. The joint area is made up of a rounded part of one bone which fits into a dipped area of another, enabling a door hinge-like movement in one plane. This joint is found in the knees, elbows, fingers, and toes. This joint allows flexion and extension in one plane and little to no movement in other planes. Here you can see my elbow flexing and extending at the hinge joint. Here you can see my fingers flexing and extending at the hinge joint of the hand. Here is my right knee. Watch as I flex and extend it. This is my foot. Watch as I flex and extend my toes. Furthermore, the ball and socket joint, or the spheroidal joint, is named so as its origin makeup is a round area of a bone that moves in a dipped area of another. This joint can move in all planes and axes, granting this joint the most mobile freedom when compared to the rest of the 6 other types of joints. Though this joint can only be found in the shoulders and hips, this joint allows circumduction, adduction, abduction, shoulder and hip flexion, shoulder and hip extension, medial and lateral rotation. Look at this shoulder. Watch me circumduct it. Watch me abduct it and adduct it. It says shoulder flexion and shoulder extension. This is my hip. Watch me circumduct it. Abduction and adduction. Flexion and extension.
medial rotation, and lateral rotation.
Additionally, the trochoid joint or pivot joint is defined as a rotary joint, which allows a uniplane rotation. This joint name originates from its formation with a mobile bone which spins or pivots inside a groove of a different bone, as well as an adjoining ligament. This joint is in the ulna and radius, and between the atlas and axis of the vertebrae, which is directly underneath the skull, making it an atlo-axial joint, which is recognized to be biaxial. This joint only rotates around a singular axis and allows pronation and supination.
This is the atlantoaxial joint. This joint allows me to rotate my head. This is the ulna and radius, which allows my hand to pronate and supinate.
The ellipsoid joint or curve joint is a biplane joint which allows it to move angularly in two planes. This joint's name refers to how it's an imperfect hinge from the fit of an elliptical cavity, which connects to an oval-shaped process of a bone. This joint has been documented to be found in the wrists, allowing movement in all angular motions.
This is the ellipsoid joint, which allows me to rotate my hands in two planes.
Finally, the saddle joint, which is much like the prior joint, the ellipsoid joint, as it is biplane, allowing it to move within two planes. Its name alludes to how one of the bones is bent inwards at one end, while the other bone is bent outwards at one end, creating the appearance of a saddle. This joint is a sellar joint, which highlights their flexibility. They are found at the carpometacarpals of the thumbs, inner ears, and in the shoulders, which is known as the sternoclavicular joint. This joint allows flexion, extension, adduction, and abduction.
There is a saddle joint within my hand which allows me to oppose my thumb. There's also one found in my inner ear. There is also a saddle joint known as the sternoclavicular joint, which allows my arm to flex, as well extend, allows me to abduct, and adduct my arm.
Well, these were the 6 synovial joints, which allow our bodies to move, perform activities, and function as a whole. Different movement that could offset motion could create complications for your internal bodily functions, potentially affecting circulation, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. These 6 joints are inherent fundamental blueprints in order to create a healthy life. Well, that's been The Joint. Have a wonderful day.